Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Yujiro Hanma. Let's get right into it. Yujiro Hanma, also known as the father of BAKI Hanma, he is often called the strongest creature on Earth. Mind you, not the strongest person on Earth, but the strongest creature, implying and relatively stating, because it's shown in the show itself, that he is stronger than anything else that exists on the planet. There is no animal, there is nothing that exists that could defeat him in any sort of combat. Doesn't matter the circumstances, he always comes out on top. So Yujiro Hanma is the father of Baki Hanma and Jack Hanma. He is the main antagonist of the entire Baki franchise, and he is the son of Yuichiro Hanma and the strongest character in the entire series. Yujiro works as a highly paid freelance mercenary and assassin for governments and organizations. We don't really know how much he's paid, but given it from his expensive tastes and his several houses and the crazy antics he gets up to, we can assume he's very well paid, because he is the strongest person on Earth. I assume it's not exactly cheap to hire him. Yujiro is a fierce and arrogant man who shows little to no mercy towards anyone in the world, as he views the entirety of humanity, excluding himself, as weak. This was sort of shown in his fight with the Grand Kaio when he talked about you people, referring to literally everyone but him, saying that you're all weak. And the Grand Kaio noted that the way Yujiro viewed humanity was sort of like how a predator views the prey. It's like everyone that is not me is my prey, like to a lion. Doesn't matter if you're a hyena or a fox, doesn't matter. It's like, you're not on my level, get out of my way, I'll kill you. So Yujiro is also incredibly emotionally manipulative. This can be seen in his relationships with both of his sons and Emi Akizawa. I believe that is Abaki's mother. And this is shown in, well, the most obvious ways by far when he kills Baki's mother right in front of him to sort of give him more motivation for Baki to grow stronger and become stronger than Yujiro. I don't know if he wanted Baki to grow stronger than him, but he certainly wanted Baki to grow as strong as him to the point where he could have an actual good fight without holding back and at least have someone be his equal to some degree. He seemingly lives only to basically fight and cause destruction to anything he wants and basically anything he can, because he's just selfish like that. His whole life and mindset are dedicated to nothing but fighting and growing stronger with each person that he defeats, sometimes and often killing them. He tends to kill people if he's pushed far enough, and he doesn't really show any remorse or sadness while doing so. It's kind of like, it is what it is. He will also kill just for pleasure or satisfaction when he feels like it. He's incredibly ruthless, as shown when he rips off Kaio Ryu's entire face and slammed his skinless face into the floor. Oh my god, that's such a disgusting sentence to even say. Another example would obviously be, as I mentioned earlier, when he killed Emi Akizawa by rupturing her eardrums and then breaking her spine. He is incredibly arrogant, and he knows that he is the strongest person on Earth, so he can do however he's feeling it, because there's no one who can stop him. However, there is somewhat of a soft side to him in that, he offered Baki some soup as a sign of respect for his power after their eventual fight. I don't want to tell how it ended, just for anyone that hasn't read the manga. Also, he tried to avoid telling Kaoru Hanayama the fact that he had signed an autograph for a kid out of sort of embarrassment. So, sometimes he can be a little nice and, not completely mean. It's also noted that, it's common knowledge that Yujiro is the father of Baki and Jack Hanma, and he states in sort of a conversation with Muhammad Ali, who is obviously Muhammad Ali, who invited him to his house, that Yujiro has also fathered many sons throughout the world, because, he wants someone to grow up to be strong and someone who can eventually take his place after he's eventually gone. So we don't really know how many half-siblings Baki has, because he states he's fathered quote-unquote many children, whatever that means. Yujiro is an extremely well-built man, as you'd expect from the Baki series, standing at about 6'3" and weighing in at about 265 pounds or 120 kilograms. His neck is exceptionally thick when compared to the rest of the fighters, and his legs are unbelievably long. He has wavy red long hair, which is Not exactly what you'd expect from the strongest person in the world, but, who am I to judge? His abnormal back is something that he is exceptionally known for, in that when he gets serious in a fight, his back turns into sort of a demon face. There'll be a photo up right now. I don't even know how to explain that verbally without you just seeing it. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about because you've obviously seen the show. And during his fight with Muhammad Ali, he is dressed in sort of a black top, green military pants, and loose sandals because he's, I assume, kind of just messing around, and he's obviously a decent bit younger. So the past of Yujiro, at least that we know of, Yujiro was about 16 years old when he went to join the Vietnam War. He was, of course, fighting against the Americans on the side of the Japanese, along with the Viet Cong. After there was a very famous bombardment plan in which Yujiro survives as one of only two rebels, the other being a woman named Jane. And so that's sort of where we saw the youngest of Yujiro, and so by that it is assumed that Yujiro is like in his late 50s at the current time in the BAKI series, because if he was in his if he was 16 when the Vietnam War started, the BAKI franchise is currently in the roughly 2000 era, like just 2000-ish on the dot, because George W. Bush is still the president of the United States, which puts it roughly in that era, which would make Yujiro in his late 50s. We don't know his exact age, but that can be assumed from all the context clues. Yujiro also tends to show a certain bit of respect to Biscuit Oliva, who is, of course, the strongest man in America and one of the strongest in the world. So, Oliva is hired to get rid of Yujiro under the pretext of eliminating some sort of drug cartel dealer. Oliva introduces himself to Yujiro and, lets them know who he is. And then they tend to fight, but eventually realizing and sort of acknowledging each other's strength, they tend to form an alliance, and then at the end of the day, even the entirety of the United States just makes an alliance with Yujiro because they're like, there's no point to fighting this. This is like ridiculous. So after that, it's really just getting into the current BAKI series, and I don't want to explain that because you've all seen it, and it's fresh in your memory. How he goes around and sort of doesn't really fight anyone. He kind of just goes around and meddles in other people's fights, sort of poking fun at them for losing or being like, "Huh, good job, you won." That's really it. Like he doesn't do much fighting, mainly because there's no one really stupid enough to fight him. So I think that pretty much covers Yujiro Hanma. I don't feel like I should have to mention his strength, but I can talk about it just a little bit. When he was only 16, he was able to defeat the American military by himself during the time of the Vietnam War. Some of his strongest feats of strength include pushing back 100 riot police, completely stopping the tectonic activity of an earthquake by punching the ground, tapping craters in a concrete wall, easily knocking out elephants that not even like tanks could damage. Like, what is even this? He's also, of course, unbelievably fast. He's shown to move at sort of warp like speeds, a level of speed that's imperceptible to like human eye, almost as if he was just teleporting. He kind of just sort of pops in sort of wherever he needs to. Another indication of his incredible strength would obviously be his durability. He is capable of taking on a full power strike from literally anyone on the planet or anything without really being damaged. There are a few people who are of that caliber, but it's like, it's still not quite. Like Biscuit Oliva is obviously of that tier. He is, of course, a genius fighter who's mastered all forms of unarmed combat, and anything that he doesn't know, he kind of just picks up. Again, in his fight with Kaiokaku, he kind of just picked up that showeri that he was using, which is sort of a technique to stay unbelievably like loose and calm, even when being struck, so that the strike doesn't have much damage because your body is still completely fluid and sort of like that. And he kind of just picked it up, which is shown to be like one of the hardest techniques in entirety of Chinese martial arts, and he was like, oh, this is easy, and Retsu is just kind of dropping his jaw on the side going, how is that possible? Because to the best of my knowledge, even Retsu can't really use Shaori. Like, he knows how to, but it's still not complete, so it's kind of useless. Well, okay, yeah, I think that definitely covers it because we're at about 10 minutes now and I don't want to keep going for any longer. Well, if you guys enjoyed the video, please, like, comment, subscribe, all the basic stuff, and I'll catch you on the flip side.